Hi, I'm Chad Vandelot. Joining me in studio today is Renee Duncan and Kirk Duckwall. We are the House Geeks. Today we're going to be talking about real estate photography. Feel free to use the comments section below for any comments, questions, or show ideas. We're always looking for show ideas. And remember, these shows will also be aired on AM 950 every Sunday at noon. Check out our website, housegeeks.com, for all the latest and greatest searching and researching tools that we talk
The
about
new
on the
revised
show. Yes,
housegeeks.com.
very nicely revised, thanks to Renee here.
Thank you, Renee.
You're welcome.
And our Facebook page, where you can find funny photos and info on upcoming classes. And by the way, we do have an upcoming class. It's this Saturday at 10:30 at the Bloomington City Hall. We'll be talking about home buying tools, tactics, and negotiation techniques. You can sign up for the class on Facebook. Type in House Geeks, look for the house and the glasses. Or you can just show up on Saturday, January 20th, this Saturday at 10:30 at Bloomington City Hall.
And to note, it'll be in the Dakota room on the first level.
Thank you. Kirk, do you have anything to add? Are you almost done setting us up?
I've had some doozies of photos recently. One.
Oh, the water coming in from the ceiling?
No, that was David's. That was awesome.
That's a good photo.
The giant icicle coming
We'll
down.
have to repost that one.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. No, I was at a bank-owned property the other day. They removed, like...
I've heard all the stories. I'm going to get something to drink. Continue.
You don't know this one. No, it's a big bay window, or like, front window, that somebody pulled out and used to line their deck instead of
Oh my
railing.
God.
Yeah. It's hysterical.
What?
Yeah. So that's a new one that I had seen.
Judging by, I didn't hear the story, but judging by Renee's face, I didn't really miss much.
Oh.
That does bring up a difficult issue with being a photographer. Is sometimes it's just not going to be pretty.
You
And
don't
wanna
want to
make
shoot
it pretty, or you don't want to shoot it, but you gotta treat every property the same. So.
Oh yeah, there's a couple other good ones I can't remember off the top of my head, but I got to get you those new photos to get up. That's for sure. All right. Let's do a radio show.
Very good.
Okay. Get that yawn out of the way.
Aha!
Oh, jeez. So loud. I can't get it. There we go. Welcome to the House Geeks Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. I'm Kirk Duckwall. Joining me is Chad Vandelot and Renee Duncan today. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Also, check us out online anytime at housegeeks.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. Follow us on our Facebook page. Just type in House Geeks. Look for the little house and glasses. You'll see us on there where you'll see upcoming events, classes, watch us record live most Tuesdays, starting at or around the noon hour, or, maybe 45 minutes late. And you can also see, we have, now we're putting out a whole new series of weekly videos, educational videos as well. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of quality photography. This is an area I'm very, very just adamant about in the listing process, and have a lot of conversations about with buyers in how to perceive photography. And that's one of the reasons we have you coming in today, Renee. I appreciate you coming on and talking a little bit about
Yes.
photography.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And I know you're passionate about photography, which is good.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So when somebody is looking at a house online, it is the face of the property. I know, we talked about that, Chad, that this is what people see. This is where the first showing lies.
Exactly.
And for somebody to, think it's not a big deal about what they're putting out there, and I'll run across this occasionally with prospective sellers. Oh, I have some old photos that I took; they're really good, and we can just use that for the listing. Or, either themselves or a friend or somebody is a quote unquote photographer. I have a fair amount of photography equipment, and I can do some pretty nice stuff, but I also will never give myself the title real estate photographer.
Same here. I have about $3,000 worth of photography stuff, photography equipment myself, and editing software. I've got great photos of my kids. But
I would hope so.
I've never once taken photographs for one of my own listings.
Yeah, I think the key there is there are a lot of great photographers out there, and the saying is that it's not about the equipment, it's about the photographer. But in real estate, you have to have the right equipment, and have to know how to use it to portray an interior in the most accurate light. And that's actually much more difficult than people may realize.
Well, I definitely want to get into the tools and the technique of the photography, and you brought up a great point about portraying it in an accurate light. To make it look like what somebody's going to see when they walk in the door, as far as the perspective. Because, somebody bringing a 35 millimeter lens to the table or using a camera phone to do the pictures, it's just not going to show it properly, and it's never going to show it as well as somebody who has the right equipment, and not just on the camera end of it, it's also on the software
Exactly.
that somebody has.
Yes.
So you could have a pretty good camera, but if you don't have the proper equipment, this is going to put you behind where you want to be with your listing.
And sometimes, portraying it in an accurate light, I don't know if I would really focus too much on that. Now, anybody that's gone out on showings and viewed properties online, they know that bad photos can make a good property look poor, and they can be surprised when they get at the property. But really, really, really good photos can make a bad property look really, really, really good online.
Well,
So,
I think there's
I would argue that all real estate photos lie, one way or another. Only the very, very, very average photos will portray a property in an accurate way.
Well, yeah, I'll agree with that to a point. I mean, it's there are photos that overdo it, in my opinion. Especially when they're bringing in editing things like editing environment or whatever you want to call it.
Well, and that's an ethical issue
Right,
too. Like
exactly.
I never go into a property with the intention of trying to make it look different than it is, and especially if it's an attached feature that's not going to go away for a new homeowner. You should not edit that out. Like for example, power lines in the backyard, things that if a buyer shows up might be a concern and you can't do anything about. I don't think you should edit those out.
Oh, you bring up a great point, something we didn't even talk about ahead of time. And that's, I see so many photographers, maybe they take decent pictures of a home, but then they take angles that hide what I call resale objections, something along the lines of the power lines, the railroad track, the apartment building across the street, the busy road, whatever it might be, they're taking the pictures to take that out. And I know when we talk about when buyers are looking, how to avoid running into that problem. But from a seller's perspective, you don't want to hide something that's going to be blatantly obvious when it's there,
Right.
because what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure. If we use this example with like the quarter bath in the basement, if I sit there and mark 2 bathroom, and one is a full bathroom upstairs, and the other is a quarter toilet stool in the basement, not everybody is going to read the specs ahead of time and realize what that is. So what happens? They see 2 bath, they go downstairs, and they go, oh, that's not, what I thought it was. And so you set up for disappointment. Whereas if you just said 1 bath, which it really is overall, now when they see that down there, they go, hey, this is plumbed. It's ready to go. So when you take a picture of something and show what it actually is, you've set the expectation appropriately. So, sorry, Chad. Looks like you had something.
But you always want to do it by representing your client as best as possible. So you want to show it in the best possible light without over-exaggerating. The over-exaggerating or hiding the really obvious resale objections, you may be setting up your client for a big inconvenience by additional showings that they have to remove kids and Fido and clean and organize and, so
Yeah, I mean, each
at the end of the day,
situation-
you have to
yeah.
think about your client.
Yep. Yeah, each situation is, needs to be looked at on an individual basis to decide, what you're going to market and what you're going to show. But overall, I remember this property. It was on Cleveland Avenue in Roseville. But it was, gosh, it must have been set back 150, 200 feet, if not more, from the road. So, somebody's going to look at maybe the map and go, oh, it's on a busy road. But really, you're almost as far away as a house on the next street.
Yep.
So I asked for a shot to be taken looking from the house to the road, to just say, on Cleveland with large setback and minimal noise, whatever it is. So,
Oh, that brings up another point. Putting comments to the photos to tell the consumer exactly what you're trying to display by the photos if it's not blatantly obvious.
yeah, I mean, utilizing photo comments is a great way to, go in deeper into describing the property. Because with the agent remarks and the public remarks, I mean, each one of those is limited to 500 characters per space, and the consumers can't see the agent remarks, so you're really limited to the public remarks, and that's where you can go in and add a lot more. Another thing we didn't really talk about is taking pictures of not just the house, but if the area has something that's a feature of that location. I know when I'm doing downtown condo stuff, we'll get some photos of the light rail.
Yes. Transportation, any kind of community amenities, pools, parks. Those are all great features. Any unique feature is a good one to have, but that kind of comes down to communication between the photographer and the realtor, giving the realtor the option to display certain things on the MLS and in their marketing.
I have seen that get a little overdone occasionally, where it's, I think the other day I saw 50% of the photos were like the area amenities.
Yes, I have seen that as well, and I don't understand the thought process behind
I'm like,
it.
is this a lake home? And then I pull it up on a map because they showed the beach and then a dock and then the lake and then the park. So, yeah, that can definitely get overdone. But yeah, I mean, to really stress the point, don't be offended if your agent says they have a professional photographer that they want to use. Because more than likely, even if you're a capable photographer, you're not going to have the equipment geared, and we're going to talk about this equipment more as we get into the other segments, but geared towards not just taking, but, processing the real estate photos. It's just such a different ballgame than that. So, and no offense taken. I take no offense when, I know my place in the photography world to step back and let somebody who's really a professional do it. So when we come back, we're going to talk more about, like the aspects of getting ready for the photography, and how to get your home in a position to have those photos be, no pun intended, in the best light.
Exactly.
If you have any questions for us, though, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. You're listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show with the House Geeks. Except for we changed the name, didn't we?
We did.
Yes. I can change that. Didn't change it on here, though.
Just keep. Oh, you got to restart it on there anyway.
Yes, I do. See, you weren't.
So what Kirk is referring to is the Twin Cities Real Estate Show will, from now on, be called the House Geeks Real Estate Show. Same great time, same great show, same great location, same website.
Same great taste.
Just a little different name.
There's other real estate shows that we were getting confused with, so we figured separate that a little bit. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ready.
I'm sure you are, and everybody is but me. You're listening to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950. Today we're talking about the importance of quality photography when listing your home and some of the things that buyers can be aware of and how to look at photography. Chad, you brought up a great point earlier in the last segment, which is, you can make a bad house look good and a good house look bad, all depending on the camera and the tools and the equipment somebody's utilizing to shoot a property. And for buyers out there, that's really, really important. I drilled in the last segment why you want to get a real professional real estate photographer to assist with having the photos done. I mean, that's just like with us, that's a service that we provide because we know how important it is. But, definitely, if you're interviewing agents, ask them, is that something they're providing or something they need, you would need to go get on your own, but you definitely, no matter what, want to do it. It makes all the difference in the world. What we didn't talk about was the effect that it can have on the sale price. That's what matters, right? Okay, so yeah, you have the bad photography up there. And that's the route that the homeowner decided to go with, taking their own photos, or not using a real estate photographer, using somebody's sister or whatever it might be. This has a direct cost on the sale. I did. If you go to the housegeeks.com, there's a video that I put up. It's been years ago. I should redo the video just because enough time has passed. But It was actually when the market was really, really bad. And that's where I thought, this really makes a big difference here because, you have a declining market. You need every advantage that you can get. And I took two houses within about a couple blocks of each other. And I analyzed them, and I had been through both. The one with the poor photography was actually the bigger and the home that featured nicer amenities to it sold for about $10,000 less than the home that had the quality photography. And these were two homes that sold within just a couple months of each other.
And in today's market, which is not a declining market, which is a very fast-paced market, I would argue that good photos are just as important. Here's why. If you have poor photos, maybe your home doesn't sell in the first couple days or the first couple weeks, and it gets overlooked and can become a stale listing where consumers are thinking, well, all these other houses sold in the first couple days. Why is this one still on? There might be something wrong with it. The other thing that you might be giving up is what's become norm for the market for the last 3 years is the potential to drive up the price during multiple offers. If you have superb photography, you are more likely to get multiple interested parties in there within a period of time where they submit offers at the same time and thus get into what is not greatly referred to as a bidding war, which can drive the price up $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000.
I had one this year is $25,000
Yep.
is what it went over.
So some people might think, well, in today's market, anything sells. So why do I need the real estate photography? Well, that's why. You might be giving up that additional equity that may be squeezed out as a result of multiple offers.
Well, you know I'm a stats junkie, and I looked at it. I mean, it roughly breaks down, and if anybody wants the data, I'm happy to produce it again, but it roughly breaks down to, for every day that a house is on the market, it loses 0.1% of its value. So every 10 days, it's going to lose 1% of its ultimate sale price.
Mhm.
And I did this looking at, it was about 800 homes that I used as my base. Anywhere from 1 to 10 days, 10 to 30 days, and so forth. And so that's a pretty big expense. So everything that you can do to sell quicker is going to put more money in your pocket. And so, photography being one of those pieces of the pie. We use this conversation when talking about, you get somebody who's looking at using a discount brokerage, and maybe staging and photography and all that stuff is something they aren't paying for, and so therefore, are you really saving money? I mean, we did the numbers on our company. It's at 8.9% more price per square foot above average, and it's the quality of the marketing that's being put out that makes that difference. So,
And the photography arguably is, well, not even arguably, it is one of the absolute most important things
when I say,
in the marketing
when I say
package.
marketing, it's the face. Every photo is going out in that marketing, whether it's in internet marketing or print marketing, whatever. Sending somebody an email with a link to the property, that's what they're going to see. Doing. Making sure that gets done it's so important.
Well, and especially in a market like this, if your realtor is going to do any pre-marketing, I have seen, Facebook pages blow up from a quality photograph of a really unique feature or just a really well-staged room where you're driving the price up before it's even on the market. And you're driving showings up. So maybe one of your issues in terms of selling your house is concerns about having to deal with showings and the inconvenience. Well, if you get interested parties to want to take a look at it out the gate, you're reducing the amount of time you have to put up with showings and, get your dogs out and your kids out and, basically just tear up your life every day to get people into your home.
That's an excellent point, Renee. And I honestly believe that good quality photos are as important for your pre-marketing as they are for when the property hits the market. To let listeners know a little bit more about pre-marketing, what it is getting your home some exposure prior to it hitting the MLS to try to attract interested parties that you may or may not let see the house, but you're not going to accept an offer until that day that it hits the market. Typically, we like to do this for at least 2 weeks prior to it hitting the MLS. We're trying to back up the traffic and then open the floodgates, get a bunch of showings in a short period of time, to increase the likelihood of driving up that price. It's an extremely effective tool in today's market.
Yeah, it's taking advantage of each of these pieces. And, we just did a video about, some of the things a seller can do too. And we're going to talk about this a little later in the show. But, photography is really important, but you also need to make sure that you're setting that stage so when somebody shows up as well, that it's coming through as well as they expected or close to as well as they would have expected online. If you have that dingy carpet, which maybe the photography doesn't pick up on,
Right.
or something like that, you want to take care of those items, and that will help that sale. Otherwise, you're just going to get showing after showing after showing, and nobody's going to write an offer because they're disappointed every time they walk in. All right, well, we're going to take another quick commercial break. Be back in a few minutes. If you have any questions for us, you check out thehousegeeks.com. You can submit any of your questions there. Also, give us a call, 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. We'll be right back. Is that text messages you're receiving, or is that comments on Facebook?
Emails.
Gotcha. I need to grab a pen. That's what I was trying to do. I usually have one.
Where are you going with the next?
I don't know.
You'll get used to that.
Well, we've jumped around a little bit, so I needed to cross off some things that I had. I think. Maybe I didn't write down the pre-marketing on there.
It seemed to fit. So.
And that's what you want to do?
No, we're going to jump into maybe some of the actually getting your home ready piece of it. You ready?
Got it.
Here we go. Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Also, make sure you check out our new and revamped website at housegeeks.com, where you can find the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. We're putting up more and more educational videos. Got information about our classes on there. That's where you can download the awesome Home Spotter app if you haven't done that already. And just really keep track of what's going on with the Twin Cities real estate market. Okay, so today we're talking about the importance of quality photography in a listing and how it affects the price and how to make sure that that's what you're getting when you're listing your home, how to prepare for that. So that's kind of where we're left off, getting the house ready. One of the things we did this seller's tips video the other day, and lighting. Make sure you're going around and replacing all your light bulbs. Highly recommend the LED. So that way, as soon as somebody flips that switch, it brightens up that room. Those CFLs, especially in a basement or something where it might be a little colder, it can take a while for those to warm up. And so not only is it that important for showings, but it's important for the photography piece of the pie. Because when you're shooting, typically you like to have on all the lights.
Yes, I always request all lights on, all blinds up, all curtains open. I know some people feel like the blinds might be a feature or the curtains might be a nice feature, but it's more important to get as much available light into the home as possible. And there are numerous tips that I provide to sellers to kind of help them feel like they don't need to be a stager, or they don't have to fret over little things. It's pretty straightforward. Decluttering, lots of light, limited furniture, pack up what you can if you're going to be moving anyways. so that you are just displaying it in the most
You bring up
neutral.
you bring up a great point with the packing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the goal of selling your home? It's to move, right? And I think a lot of people forget this piece of the pie when it comes to getting ready. You know, your goal is to move, which means you need to pack, okay? Decluttering, and like you brought up in that video chat, it's, not only is it free, but it helps you get ready to move. And clearing those spaces of the excess.
And excess furniture. When you have excess furniture in a room, it makes the room look smaller, makes the room feel claustrophobic. I have this conversation with every client that I am going to potentially list their home for. And, grandma's armoire in the living room, that is a beautiful piece. And it is your grandma's. It's not somebody else's grandma's, So if it's a large piece and doesn't really fit with the consistency of the feel of the house or modern and attractive decor by modern standards, you might want to, save yourself some time in moving by getting it packed up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, every space of wall space, floor space, countertop, flat surface, whatever you want to call it, you can clear up, is the bigger that space is going to feel. Remember, you're shrinking these big rooms down to, 5 by 8 or whatever is on your computer screen that you're pulling up. So if something has a lot in there, it's going to make that room seem teeny.
Yes, and that brings up the issue of, some things may not stick out in real life, but a photo is 2D, and it's just flat. So it can look like clutter. It can be distracting in a photo, whereas you walk into the house and you don't really notice it. And some people may feel insulted if you ask them to remove certain items, but it has nothing to do with taste or...
Well, it comes back to there should be no offense taken, because at the end of the day, they're selling the house. Mm-hmm. They're going to move. All that stuff needs to go eventually, right? So what we're doing is just trying to prep it into the best light to show it as the most likely to fit the most people's needs to get exactly. So yeah, I mean, offense should not be taken. This kind of gets to the depersonalize a little bit. I say it's, if you want to have a family photo or two up, people do kind of get curious. There's no doubt about it. But that curiosity can kill the cat sometimes if it gets too in-depth.
Yeah, I think it comes down to sentimentality, but it's like he said, it's not the future buyer's armoire. It's not their grandmother's armoire. So
it's not my trip to, Puerto Rico or wherever, where I have 25 pictures on the wall of it.
Right. Buyers want to come in and really imagine themselves there. So when it comes down to it, if you're moving anyways, there's truly no reason to leave family photos and personal items in place if you don't have to.
Right. You're making it a showpiece is what you're doing, right? At that point, because it's time to sell. What was the show we did about the rental properties? That sometimes the reason somebody wants to rent their home is because they're having a hard time letting go of that. Mm-hmm. When you really look at it, though, what makes the most sense? What is really going to get you the best financial outcome on that and preparing for that? So yeah, I mean, staging for photos versus staging for actual showings can be a different thing. I will actually shift pieces around, and then as soon as the pictures are taken, shift it back again. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a nice piece we want to have in there that does provide a help with the picture, or the opposite. But when somebody comes there, it's gonna feel different.
Yeah, I think staging for showings is more about functionality. When somebody walks in the room, they want it to be set up in a way that would be typical of a family moving in. Versus in a photograph, you've just got that isolated angle, and maybe that's not it's not best suited for functionality. It's more for composition.
Right.
The other thing to pay attention to if you are selling your house and buying another one, and the house you're buying is staged, note that they usually don't stage homes around a TV. A lot of times the TV will be absolutely missing from the picture to stage the home to make it look as nicely as possible. Now, this isn't a concern if you guys don't watch TV, but if you're the typical American family that does center their their
Family
furniture
room.
around a TV, pay attention to that.
So, talked about lighting, talked about decluttering. One of the things too, you brought up the angles, taking the right angles, and then one thing, we had that expired listing that we relisted, and one of the things we noticed was the photographer was shooting from way too high. I felt like it was security camera footage or something.
Yes. It's in the photography world, we just call it minding your verticals. And it's something that sometimes you look at a picture and you know something is bothering you, but you can't really put your finger on it. And it's most often that, where the picture was taken at an angle, and so the walls they're just skewed. They're not straight. They're not the way they were built to be. So a professional real estate photographer minds their verticals. The home in the pictures looks the way essentially it would, to an architect. Like, you're trying to kind of keep their art and showcase their art in the best possible light. So you kind of think of it like that. Like, this is an artist's work, and you're trying to showcase it as accurately as possible. But also, there's the issue of composition in terms of the ceiling versus the flooring. You don't want to overemphasize one or the other. When I'm shooting, I tend to get pretty low. I actually am bent down most of the time when I'm shooting.
I know I have given you a little bit of hard time on that every once in a while.
Yes, but if I shoot at my standard height, then my verticals are going to be off, and I'm going to be overemphasizing something, and it's going to completely ruin the composition.
Now, because I don't know the answer to this, so I'm just going to ask you, when you shoot from a lower perspective, does that emphasize the floors more than the ceiling? Or am I looking at that wrong?
It should be splitting it, I think.
Well, it's a matter of I'm shooting lower, like I'm bending my knees, but I'm not tilting my camera. So that's where we come back to minding your verticals.
Gotcha.
So I'm bending so I can kind of see what my viewfinder is going to see, so I can get a nice balance and focus on, like, if I'm in the living room, focus on the actual living area and the couch and things like that. Now, if I'm dealing with high ceilings, I'm usually going to be a little bit higher.
Gotcha.
So I can get those in the photo.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't know if this is on point or not, but if you have an 8-foot ceiling and you're taking a picture from 5 feet or so up, you're going to be higher, or you're over the halfway mark, right? So you're going to emphasize something more than the other, where if you get down and you split that difference.
Right. And it comes into play with the exterior. Sometimes with these Victorian houses, they're too tall for me.
Yeah.
So I can't, I basically have to fix my verticals in the editing process because I'm not tall enough to adjust for that.
Well, you brought up the architecture, taking the pictures of what that space was meant to be. And this is something I see on the exterior of homes a lot, where somebody shoots the house dead straight on. So you're not picking up any of the lines of the home. Okay, maybe that might work with a box 50s Rambler, but almost every house has a line or two to it. And I like seeing, pulling and getting a little bit of an angle so you can pick up the actual architecture of the home. So, talking about exteriors, though, preparing and getting, people put so much as getting the interior ready.
Yes, exactly. And also, if you are able to prepare, if you know your house is going to be on the market in the winter, if you can ask your realtor to get photos ahead of time before the ground is covered, it'll set you up to have a unique listing where people will feel more secure if they're able to see the yard
Right,
and the
yep.
landscaping.
Yeah, they're able to see. They're able to see all the nice flowers you have, the nice patio you have, and your yard in the best possible light.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we're going to just talk a little bit about the new technology in photography and some of the things that people are doing in video and whatnot. You got any questions, give us a call, 612-207-5388. We'll be right back. Second. So that was odd that my phone rang on Do Not Disturb. Because that was mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't have. Hi, Facebook Live people. I'm just going to put an extra battery on here and check why it rang.
Hi, Jamie.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep going. I bet you it was like 2 overlapping calls or something odd like that. What was the husband watching?
Probably.
Oh, okay. All right. Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us after the show, or you're thinking about buying or selling a home, feel free to give us a call. Happy to help out. Phone number is 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Check us out online at housegeeks.com as well, where you can find all of our past shows, along with videos, upcoming classes, and whatnot. So, today we're talking about the importance of quality real estate photography, and wanted to get into a little bit of the tech that is out there or is coming out, some of the things that we're seeing developing in that realm. You know, one of them is what's called the Matterport camera. This came out, at least I started seeing it being used probably pretty regularly about 4 or 5 years ago, something along those lines. Very expensive camera. I think they're like $10,000. Shrinking the rooms down in regular photography, it does that even more so,
Yes.
right? My opinion, I think it shows the home almost in a poor light. It's a cool concept. I think the idea of providing a floor plan is great. We've had that discussion. I think floor plans, that can be very beneficial for people to get an idea of, the space and how much it'll have. But this idea of taking the entire house and turning it into this, 5x8 view of the entire house, I don't think shows it well. It is one of those over presenting, in my opinion.
Yes, it feels claustrophobic, and it can be off-putting more than anything, and it doesn't leave anything to the imagination. As far as you kind of want to tease people, you want them to want to see more and actually show up to see the house in person.
Well, yeah, I mean, not only from a marketing perspective, the number of times that I've had somebody make the comment about, I don't like this because of an opinion, and then they actually see that, and then they're like, oh, actually I do like this, because whatever they had experienced before, maybe they just had got the sizes wrong, or it wasn't what they were thinking about. And so you can over-present. I mean, I'll see these, and the same is true with just regular photography. I'll see somebody go in and they'll do, 7 pictures of the kitchen. And that's that way for every room. Mm-hmm. and so by the time somebody gets done looking at all the photos, they're just like, oh, well, I don't need to go see it now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not the way to experience a property. I can understand to, you know, get a quick perspective. You know, one of the things we're seeing that I'm going to be interested to see how this comes out, but Zillow is coming through with this 3D walkthrough, and it's not real. I mean, it's more like the 360 camera, so you're going to have the ability to kind of walk your way through, you know, almost like a Google Earth
Yes,
or Maps
exactly.
or Street View, but with the inside of a home. I definitely like this idea better than the dollhouse, you know, box thing. But, you know, we'll just have to see what comes of that. Because my biggest concern is, you know, is this something that's going to be limited to just using cell phone cameras again?
Right. And there's always the option of doing a traditional video walkthrough to showcase the home and kind of almost put like a little movie together.
Right. Well, and that's definitely something that we're seeing. You know, the virtual tour, you know, used to just be, you know, maybe a few pano shots and a few regular photos. And so you go on there and then, you know, the virtual tour would just pan across the pano shot with some music to it or whatever it might be. That, you know, it's not, the viewership of those isn't all that high in comparison to the viewership of, you know, somebody actually clicking through the listing photos. But I do think, you know, doing actual video where you really are getting a perspective of the room, you know, like, you know, panos of every room, is good. Also, these what do they call them, lifestyle videos?
Yes.
Yes. There was a really funny one I think we were watching the other day where it was what do the parents do when the kids go off to the first day of school?
That one was great.
And that was featuring the whole you know, the whole house, but in a movie, right?
Yes.
And it's funny, and you're seeing this kind of stuff definitely more on the West Coast properties. It seems like more so, but I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing more of that here. I know it's definitely something I'm considering different ideas for, and in utilizing these lifestyle videos, because it really will show a house in a really good light, and it's kind of fun too.
Yes.
We're seeing drones. This is another one where I'm a little torn. You know, I've been a fan of aerial photography to get, especially for acreage properties and stuff like that, to really get a good perspective of the lot. But I'm seeing photographers or real estate agents using some of that drone photography as like primary listing photos of the house. And you talk about your verticals. Well, imagine how bad a vertical of a front of the house is going to be at, you know, 100 feet up. And that's the primary photo. And I just, once again, it's not showing the architecture. I think it can make a big lot seem very small. That's what I ran into with that expired property. They used a drone shot, and that is a huge lot there.
Yes.
And it made that huge lot seem really small. So although I think the drones, use it for a video. I think it's a great way. Use it for a video coming around the back.
Show lake frontage.
Oh, yeah, come in over the lake and things like that. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, but don't force yourself to use it, because there's definitely appropriate times and not appropriate times.
It's ideal as an accessory, and it's mostly used for luxury estates and more rural areas where you do have a lot of acreage. But I definitely would recommend with sticking with the video and having it just as an extra feature, not your main feature.
Renee, you brought up a point about being too short for taking some of those big pictures of some of those big Victorian homes. I was talking to a photographer the other day, and he mentioned getting a drone just to fly up 20, 30 feet to get those good photos of the very large houses.
Yep, that'd definitely be a way to do that. Really kind of the last tip is, you know, we talked about over-presenting. That definitely can be a problem. using the wrong tech or for just trying to force it. Also be aware of under-presenting a property. You got to be careful. You want to make sure you're getting your primary rooms if at all possible. There's a time and place maybe for limited photography, but that's probably a whole nother show. If you have any questions for us, give us a call, 612-207-5388. Check us out online at housegeeks.com, where you'll find all of our past shows and a ton of videos. We'll be back next week.